I have a whole bunch of clothes that I made and I don't wear because they have one or two silly things that could be very easily fixed. Knitters have Finish It February, and I'm kind of wondering why I haven't heard of Mend It March, because it really ought to be a thing. I've got a whole bunch of things in here. You can probably already see purple. I made a couple of new straps for my purple overalls. We'll get into that in a moment. You know how it goes, right? You make something, it doesn't fit exactly quite right, so it winds up either chucked in the closet, never to be seen again, or in a pile in the laundry room waiting to be mended, and it never gets mended. Well, today we're going to tackle some of those things, because I do have quite a few items of clothing that I would wear more often if just one tiny little thing was fixed. Tiny, stupid little things were fixed. For instance, one of the things, my purple overalls that I made last year, some people were not all that hype to the purple corduroy, but that's fine. I like it. I'm the one who has to wear it, right? Now, the problem is, I think I only wore these once. The day of the reveal, I took my reveal shots, and then I went out to IKEA with the husbeast. And when I put on the overalls, I thought I heard a ripping noise. And not finding any problems in the seat, I went, you know what? It's all good. No problem. And the husbeast noticed that where the straps attached to the back, they'd pulled out. So that's one of the things we're going to be working on today. So here's the thing with the overalls. When I made the overalls, I didn't happen to have the hardware for it. And overalls hardware is pretty recognizable. You essentially have your area where the button fits in and an area where you can lengthen and shorten the strap. Basically an adjuster. So I did the other thing one of the other things that the pattern suggested, which was just to measure what size of strap you needed and then just sew them in place. I had seamed it in. I had top stitched a little bit. It's fairly close to the seam line. Then trimmed down my strap length. Probably should have reinforced it. So what I'm going to need to do is just unpick this. I'm going to unpick the other side, unpick the fronts. I've already made a new set of straps. One strap's a little bit shorter than the other. I don't think it's going to matter all that much, but at least they're the original length rather than the shortened length on here. So I will reinsert, I will retop stitch to get everything to look nice and neat. And then I'm probably going to do a little bit of reinforcement stitching. And I will put the hardware onto the front of the bib. So we'll be attaching the button and the hardware to the strap. And that will hopefully give me a pair of overalls that I can wear. This is the kind of day where these, my seam rippers, are going to be much prized, beloved, and used. And it occurs to me that the bulk of the stuff I'm going to be doing is going to be basically seam ripping. Let's see how this goes. got out some minor aggressions, I mean very minor aggressions, with the buttons, because you have to be actually quite careful when you're putting the buttons in. In this case, I just poked a hole through with an awl, put in the backing for the button, and then placed the front down on something soft and gave a few taps. We're done. And now we have a working pair of overalls with adjustable straps. So that's project number 1 done and dusted. Time to displace a cat because we're working on pants next. Hi. I'm going to say hello to the nice people. No? Okay. Down you get. This is my next project. They are my oxbow pants that I made with thrifted fabric from, I think it was the Ujama Grandma's thrift sale last year. I'll tell you more about that once we've sat back down. These are my oxbow pants. And out of all of the things I made last year, these are probably my favorite because they actually do fit really well. They're a good length in the leg. I had to do quite a bit of hemming up, which isn't bad. I'd rather have too much hem and have to either cut it a little short and hem up or what have you, instead of not having enough length in the leg. They fit in the hips without any real kind of alterations. I think the most that I did was a little bit of grading between sizes, and that's that. As you can see, I've used quite a bit of safety pinning to keep things in place. It's, I don't know, maybe a 1/2 inch to an inch worth of extra fabric that I've tucked away in there. Problem is that the waist is just loose enough that the pants will fall to the top of my hip, and while hip huggers were kind of cool for a little bit of time back in the, I think, early 2000s, I'm kind of glad that we've got the high-waisted kind of mom jean silhouette back, because that actually is kind of flattering on me. The problem is getting my waist size correct. Now, there are a couple of darts over the butt. There's a dart on each side of the bum. They had suggested that I actually just deepen those darts, I think. You know, do a little seam rippage, deepen the darts. I'd probably have to fold in the waistband a little bit. But there's a little secret that very few people know about these pants, and that's that I had to piece together the waistband. The outer band is all one piece, but the inner band, well, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a seam there. And that's because I had to piece together at least one of the waistbands. So I stuck it on the inside where nobody would see it. So I figured what I would do would be to open up those seams. Once I had that opened up, I would run some elastic through that back part of the waistband, and that way the waist would actually be quite adjustable. It'll give them a little bit of ease, but will also keep them up and in the right place. It will give me a little bit more bulk over the butt, but no more than I think any other pair of pants with an elastic waistband would have. Yeah, a little bit of 1.5 inch elastic. Sew it down like I would anything that's in a casing, really. And then, yeah, it should be good to go. Getting out my trusty seam ripper, and we'll get that done. I am serious though. These are probably my favorite things that I made last year, and I'm thinking that I'm probably going to make another pair. The other view, I didn't realize it, but the other view has a narrower leg that's a little bit closer to regular jeans. They're just a bit shorter. And considering how long the hems were on these, I wouldn't be surprised if the hem on the other view actually hit me in the right place. If not, I have a pair of shorter pants. That's not really a big deal. But I have a feeling that the other view will probably just fit me perfectly. So that is something that I am considering doing shortly, because I'd kind of like to make a couple of colorful things that are fun and get ready for spring. Who knows? Okay, so the oxbow pants are done. You have no idea how happy I am that that was really easy. Just zipping open those little seams on the inside of the waistband, zapping the elastic through there. I didn't show it, but I did take things into the rec room and try it on. And then when I came back, I tightened it up just a tiny little bit more just to be on the safe side. And then just running it through the sewing machine. And then ladder stitching, I think it's called. Basically just to close up those seams. It took less than an hour. And it makes me wonder why I was putting it off for so long, but that's just the way things seem to go. Is you can finish up with something and go, there's probably a fix for this, but I don't have the time for it right now. And then you get to do it and you go, oh, well, taking it apart only took me 10 minutes, and then doing the fix only took me about a half an hour. Go figure. The next one probably will take a little bit of extra time, and that's because I'm going to be doing some seam ripping. And that is my yellow shirt. I know both of the things from the lemon yellow shirt and the lavender overalls, both of them are making an appearance in this show or this video, and there's a reason for that. The overalls took quite a bit of time. This took quite a bit of time. And I was talking with my friend Ashley recently, and the two of us have kind of figured out that when it comes to simple things that for some reason wind up being more difficult than you expected, twig and tail. And sometimes it's because they put in the information to make something just a little bit more easy to wear as a person who has sensory issues. And sometimes it's just your own head gets in the way. And I don't understand what it is, but twig and tail stuff, for some reason, I seem to butt my head against it. And this one actually came out pretty well. It was the Husbeast shirt that had some issues. Either way, the problem I'm having with this one is that I made the mistake of putting in interfacing. I have had to own up to the fact that unless I want something to actually be quite stiff, leave out the interfacing or interface with the same fabric if you need to. But in the case of the Breeze shirt, it has that wonderful sort of slit neck that just is supposed to kind of lie open. And I have a similar neckline on my March dress from Helen's Closet. The difference is that the Breeze, I think this is the Breeze, has a collar on it. And the March dress just has a bit of binding around the collar, and the ties seem to keep it open. There's just enough weight there to allow everything to flop. On the Breeze shirt, everything's interfaced, and as a result, it's stiffer. So instead of flopping open nicely and giving me that nice V-neck that I really like, it wants to stay closed. And the result to that is more safety pins. I have lost most of my safety pins to my clothes right now, just because if I need to keep something up, safety pin it to the bra, do so out of the way. But then, of course, you wind up with marks from the safety pins just sort of digging into your skin. Or safety pins in your clothes that if you wash them, you then have to fish those safety pins out or risk getting rust all over the place because your safety pins are old. So today what I'm going to do is unpick the entire facing seam that is keeping those facings down. This is part of the design. It's not just me saying I hate facings. I'm just going to, turn it into a part of the design that you have a yoke-shaped seam going around. No, this is part of the directions. So I'm going to take out that, and I noticed I had serged the facing. I don't know whether you can see this, but I had serged the facing. So this isn't going to be too difficult. And I'll just slip the seam ripper in there and let her rip. But after that, if I need to, I can soften up the glue on the interfacing using my iron. Words are hard. And then just gently pull it away. If I need to, I will trim it near a seam. Like, for instance, if I need to trim it near here or near the serging. And we'll take that out and we'll see how it lies. And if it lies well, great. I guess it's time to turn on YouTube again and watch somebody while I rip the stitches out of that facing. And if worse comes to worse, if it really comes down to it and I can't seem to get those edges to just lie naturally, I'll tack it with a little bit of thread. I probably could do that right now, but it looks a little fake, and I'd rather it actually looked a little bit more natural. So if I have to, I'll tack it with a little bit of thread on the inside where nobody's going to see it. But my hope is to actually get it to lie naturally open and make it look a little bit more organic on me, I guess. Make it look like my clothes aren't having to have some sort of contrivance to actually look good. For all of you who are still here this far through the video, thank you very much. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not, and maybe boop the like button if you could. Also, if you want to leave a comment to let me know how are you keeping your clothes out of the landfill, or making sure that they fit properly, or just updating them to keep them stylish if it's been a couple of years, I would really like to know. While I'm at it, I'd really like to thank my patrons and my channel members because their support really does matter. It makes sure that I am able to make videos like this where I'm taking a little bit of time to not necessarily make anything new, but make the stuff that I want to wear and have already made continue to actually fit, or, you know, make sure that they can fit when they didn't perfectly fit when I first made them. So thank you. Thank you so very much. Now I'm going to get back onto this. Stay till the end if you can, because that really does matter. And, well, I'd like to see you there. Interfacing is out of the shirt and it feels a whole lot more natural, which is good. Probably could use a press. Not gonna lie, it could probably stand to go through the wash, but for my purposes today, it probably could stand to have a bit of a press, and then it should be good to go. So, hooray. Hi. The next project that I want to get done is actually bra strap stays for a couple of shirts. The first of which is a black and gray, mostly shades of gray, t-shirt that I recently made. I'll go get them. The t-shirt I tend to make the most is the Carlisle t-shirt by Cashmerette. The thing with the Carlisle, though, is that if you're not careful, the t-shirt will fall right off of your shoulder because it has a rather wide square neckline. So this shirt that I made recently definitely needs to have its stays redone because it looks a little bit sloppy. When I was taking a look and comparing this shirt to this shirt, which folks who have been around for a while are probably going to recognize, I noticed that the bra strap stays were in a slightly different place. So this one has them in the right place. This one, it's a little farther back. So what had happened was, instead of being about halfway up the shoulder seam and a little farther up the neckband, what I had done is I had attached the bra strap stay right where the armscye and the shoulder seam meet. So there was far too much length going on there and was making things sloppy and pulling them out of shape. So that needs to be done. And I figured while I'm making bra strap stays, I should probably try making a set for my liseron blouse, which I made a couple of years ago. It's been about 2, maybe 3 years now since I made the liseron blouse. I think it's 2 years. It always has had problems staying up, and this is the casing. It's not very wide. It is doing a heck of a lot of work, and it needs some help. I'm not sure whether it's wide enough to actually cover my bra straps, but I'm going to try, because where's my sleeve? Here's my sleeve. It's not a very wide casing, and it almost immediately goes into poof. So this is going to be an experiment. I would like to wear the liseron blouse more often, particularly in summer. It's a nice, cool cotton linen blend, I think. Definitely has linen, might have cotton. I would like to wear it more often. And if putting bra strap stays in it helps me do that, so much the better. So this is going to be probably my last projects of the day, maybe into tomorrow. And hopefully these will get done and will help things stay where they need to be. If you're wondering what a bra strap stay is, A bra strap stay is basically a snap with a little crocheted cable on the end of it. And you can make that from putting together about 3 strands of thread and then just chaining the distance that you need. In this case, it should have been a little closer to the middle of the seam rather than all the way back here. The snap should have probably been closer to the middle of that band. So just gonna move things a little bit and redo my crochet job, because basically you attach the threads, you crochet across, and hopefully that won't take very long. I don't know if anybody really knows how delighted I am to have done this. It was a bunch of small jobs that didn't take very much time. It was actually quite relaxing. You just sort of sit at my sewing table and have a few small things to do. I think the most intrusive things were the overalls, the yellow shirt, and the pants. Because in that case, I seam ripped things, added things to them, or just removed things. In the case of the yellow shirt, it was removing the interfacing. In the case of the pants, it was adding elastic. And in the case of the overalls, putting in hardware, longer adjustable straps. Just worked out really, really well. And it was really relaxing and was a great way to spend an afternoon. Well, afternoon and evening. The thing is that these are all items that can now rejoin my wardrobe. In some cases, they were already being used, but it was really uncomfortable because I had pins everywhere. And in this case, the sound of something ripping when you first put it on is the moment when you just sort of put it to the side and go, maybe I won't work with that until I've got all of the things I need to get it done. The Liseron blouse and the yellow blouse definitely going to get more wear this summer. So that makes me really happy. I am glad to see that some of the things that I've made are going to get more use. They are things that I like, and I probably wouldn't have made them if I didn't want to have them. So I'm glad that I'm going to actually be able to wear them. But just because I've got all these things fixed up doesn't mean that I'm not going to be doing more sewing this summer. I definitely want to revisit the oxbow pants, particularly now I know that I can actually use a little bit of elastic in that waistband. In fact, I'm thinking that I might start making the interior waistband pieces in 3 pieces or more, just so that I have that ability to be able to add in a little bit of elastic if I need it, just in case, just to pull it together. Another thing I'm thinking of revisiting this summer is the Gilbert top from Helen's Closet. And I've made that one a couple of times now. And then off camera, without you guys, I made one for myself in a fabric that I really loved the print, but unfortunately it's more plastic than fabric. I'd picked it up at a thrift sale and, well, let's just say it wasn't the best fabric. I think it's more of a lining, to be honest. I think it was probably a lining for something, or it's a kind of crepe-like fabric. Either way, wore it out on a really hot day, and it should have been nice and light and breezy, and I was sweltering. So I need to replace that. And what better to replace it with than a nice bright 80s print? So that's something to look forward to this summer, is a new pair of pants and a new top. I still have some bags that I need to make. I'm thinking of making a notebook cover. There are cats that are trying to climb things over on that side of the basement, because of course they are. So I'm going to go cuddle these guys really, really hard. and I'll see you next time.